Welcome to a video on how to get good at the Peashooter, the very first plant most players have known since the very beginning of this franchise. Players who are able to master this kangaroo splash machine are able to surprise more players than TF2, outliving the original Overwatch. Let's get started. The Peashooter is a mobile assault class designed to be aggressive and dominant for not only very skilled players but also very generous for players just starting out, making them an excellent choice for beginners. They have 125 health and move at about the average speed, so nothing special there. Though one thing to keep note of, however, is how surprisingly small Peashooter is in comparison to the other plant classes. This makes him rather difficult to hit if he is constantly moving, so do keep this in mind. Peashooter's primary weapon is that of a slow-firing semi-automatic pea cannon that fires slow-moving peas. The weapon fires at 100 rounds per minute and has 10 ammo per clip before needing to take a swift 1.5-second reload. Each shot fired can deal 35 damage for a direct hit and up to 10 for the splash in a rather generous radius. The weapon does have damage drop-off, with it going down to 25 damage for a direct hit, though the splash remains unaffected. Because of how the weapon functions, it is best used at mid to close range for not only the high impact damage but to also ensure that the travel time is accounted for, since even if you miss, the generous splash radius means that you'll still at least deal a little bit of damage. It is also strongly suggested that you take an elevated position whenever possible, as so that you can get the most out of your splash damage and hate mail from the enemies you'll be harassing for the next few minutes. The Peashooter's first ability is the Chili Bean Bomb. Now, unlike the diarrhea version in PVZ2, this one more acts like a bomb, where 3 seconds after being deployed, it will release a giant explosion, dealing up to 175 damage within a massive radius. Once the bean has been deployed, it takes a lengthy 44 seconds to recharge. Because of what the chili bean is capable of, this makes it an excellent tool to either force enemies off objectives, or if against enemies such as an SB who needs to get up close to you to pretty much force them away. You will have to pick and choose when to use it wisely, since its long recharge time means that if you end up wasting it like a complete twat, then you'll be forced to wait a long time before you can use it again. The Peashooter's second ability is the Pea Gatling. This ability will root the Peashooter into the ground and be unable to move whilst the ability is active. However, it also transforms the Peashooter's weapon into an extremely powerful Gatling weapon that fucks them harder than a world-class porn star. The Gatling weapon fires at 875 rounds per minute and has 100 ammo per use. Each shot fired deals 10 damage for a normal hit and 12 for a critical hit. The weapon does have a little bit of drop-off, going down to 9 damage for a normal hit and 10.8 for a critical hit at long range. This ability is best used to quickly melt through deadly opponents such as the mechs, as well as take opponents by surprise with the high damage output and durability. Though since you are completely stationary, you will have to keep a sharp eye out for soldiers, since all they need to do is send a ZPG whilst you're not paying attention, and your fucking history. Once used or exited mid-use, the ability goes on a 30-second cooldown. The Peashooter's final and most notorious ability would be Kangaroo Simulator. Oh sorry, I meant Hyper. Hyper causes the Peashooter to suddenly inject himself with so much crack into his tiny little veins that for the next 7.7 seconds, the Peashooter gains a 65% speed increase. But more importantly, he can jump more than 5 times as high, allowing him to gain some seriously insane verticality. I mean, just look at that shit. And when you combine this insane mobility with his previously tiny size, then you're pretty much next to impossible to hit, unless you happen to be Crook, in which it's actually easier for him to hit Peashooters in Kangaroo Simulator. Obnoxious capabilities aside, Hyper can be useful in either rushing to places of interest quickly, performing evasive maneuvers against your opponents, or to just simply pussy out of fights like a little bitch. Once the ability has concluded, the ability will go on a 25-second cooldown. In terms of strengths, the Peashooter's highly mobile nature makes him extremely effective as a hit and run specialist and a flanker, as well as providing utility with his bean bomb in forcing enemies away from critical areas. His Pea Gatling can be used to take down massive threats in mere seconds, as well as quickly mow down multiple enemies before they can even react. Lastly, Hyper can be used to almost instantly reposition yourself easily at a moment's notice. However, Peashooter's primary weapon is not the best at long-range combat, primarily due to its sluggish projectile speed, so long-range classes like pirates will be able to dispose of you easily. Additionally, whilst P-Gatling may provide you with an insane amount of firepower, because it locks you in place, enemies such as Scuba Soldier and Rugby Star can just splash you out behind a corner, or soldiers can just instantly kill you using ZPG. Thanks to this guide, you will now be the master of Kangaroo Simulator and sit on top of roofs as enemies scream and bitch at you to come down, knowing full well that the game actually encourages you to camp like a bitch. Be sure to come back for the next episodes next week. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more shit like this. Have fun.